Cedar Fair worked with RMC in 2018 to build 3 roller coasters. Those coasters being Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point, Twisted Timbers at Kings Dominion, and Railblazer at California's Great America. However, since then, we have seen nothing from Cedar Fair and RMC. There hasn't even been any significant rumors that would suggest that we could see these two companies working together in the near future. There's been much reason to believe that these two companies have finished their last project together, at least for the time being. Today, we'll be exploring this idea to see if it could be true and why this could possibly be the case. Before we get into that, I'd appreciate it if you give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more awesome coaster content coming soon. Now with all that being said, let's hop into the video. Let's take a look at what we've seen from RMC and Cedar Fair. Cedar Fair contacted RMC to convert 2 wooden coasters to hybrid coasters with their iBox track, those coasters being Hurler at Kings Dominion and Mean Streak at Cedar Point. They also had them build an RMC Raptor at California's Great America called Railblazer. This was Cedar Fair's first experience with RMC, and all these rides opened in 2018. After this, things got messy. A huge issue for Twisted Timbers and Steel Vengeance was the loose article policy. Loose articles kept falling out of people's pockets on the rides, so this caused a lot of commotion that the chain would have liked to avoid. They banned loose articles like cell phones from the queue line, which was not a good look whatsoever due to the rides getting long lines. They eventually put pouches on the ride so people could bring cell phones in the queue line, so this worked for the time being. However, in 2020, this backfired with the new health and safety protocols. People weren't able to use the pouches on Steel Vengeance, so this led to phones being banned again, and you can imagine that was an issue. This was a big problem, but you can imagine it wasn't really RMC's fault. But it was only an issue due to the nature of the ride, so it was just a bad look, but nothing overly serious. One of the bigger issues happened on Steel Vengeance on its opening day to the public. On opening day, 2 trains on the coaster collided, causing 1 train operations for the first month of operations while RMC made modifications to fix the issues. Later that year, a tire from the drive tire system near the brake run became detached and landed near the queue line. This resulted in the ride needing an evacuation. Throughout the whole 2018 season, Steel Vengeance was plagued with downtime. It was sort of a train wreck from an operational standpoint, which isn't something parks want at all. This gave the company an ugly look to the chain. Many people expected to see RMCs all over the chain, but unfortunately, that did not end up being the case with all these problems. I could see why Cedar Fair would be frustrated with RMC because they built this awesome roller coaster that didn't live up to their operational standards. That was probably extremely frustrating to the chain because they knew this coaster had the makings to be one of the best in the world. But that's not that easy to do when the ride is down often. I also think that there's some other reasons that Cedar Fair is not working with RMC in the future. For one, I think their limited range of models doesn't necessarily fit what Cedar Fair is looking to do. Cedar Fair doesn't invest that much money into their smaller parks, so any models that they'd be looking to purchase would be for one of their bigger parks. For one, the Raptor model doesn't draw too much GP attention. Sure, the Raptors are great rides, but they don't meet the kind of crowd pleaser level that Cedar Fair is looking for. They also suck for capacity, so that's another obstacle. Same thing with the hybrids. The capacity doesn't fit a park like Cedar Point that draws in an insane amount of people on a daily basis. There also aren't very many coasters in the chain that could receive this treatment. Canada's Wonderland has a few coasters that would benefit from this treatment, but there are some laws that make it tougher for RMC to work in Canada. California's Great America is Grizzly, but that park already has an RMC, so I don't know what the plan would be there. Carowinds has Hurler, but Kings Dominion already had their Hurler RMC, so I don't know if that would deter them from giving that coaster the same treatment. Other than that, there isn't much else I could see being RMC'd in the chain in the bigger parks. The only other model that is currently a main draw for RMC is the Topper Track model, but this model has already been shown to be flawed. So I'm guessing Cedar Fair will stick to the GCIs instead. RMC just isn't a great fit for Cedar Fair. Let's take a look at the chain's latest coaster edition, Orion. Say what you want about Orion, but this coaster seems to be a universal crowd pleaser. Everyone seems to enjoy these B&Ms, and they look nice, are easy for maintenance, and chew through the lines. These B&Ms are massive people eaters because they can run 3 trains and they carry about 32 people per train, and they seem to be really nice from an operational standpoint. Now, these RMCs are great rides, and no one seems to doubt that. Manufacturers like GCI and B&M seem to capture the sweet spot for the chain. Everyone likes them, there's no outstanding issues, and they can eat up the crowds. Cedar Fair has had some issues with RMCs that has disrupted those things, like operational issues and the long lines for Steel Vengeance at least. Also, it's a lot easier to build up ground-up coasters than it is to find a coaster that needs to be RMC'd by all standards, and not just a coaster that sucks or is rough. There's a lot of wooden coasters that don't get RMC'd because they seem to perform well, so there's no reason to change them. Fortunately, RMC does a much better job filling the standards of Six Flags and many other small chains and independent parks. I doubt we'll be seeing a lack of RMCs in America in the next 10 years because RMC is the hot new thing, and just because a picky chain doesn't happen to like them. So to answer the question of the title of this video, yes, it does look like Cedar Fair is done with RMC for the time being. I can't say they're out forever because RMC is the innovative new thing, so there's always a chance Cedar Fair comes crawling back to them for a new coaster like a T-Rex in the future. In my opinion, a lot of this was just bad luck, and I don't think the steel engine situation should have been as big of a deal as it was, but maybe something happened that we're not seeing, so I don't really know. If Cedar Fair is done with RMC, I trust their decision making from a financial standpoint because I think they know what they are doing, so I wouldn't sweat it. Like I said, we'll be seeing plenty of RMCs in the future, so don't worry about that. I really don't mind this decision, to be completely honest, because it's good for other manufacturers because they'll have chances to build rides for a company. I'm actually curious to see if Cedar Fair replaces RMC's iBox track with the Titan track, as that could be a big break for GCI if that would happen. That would be a very interesting storyline, but that is yet to be seen, so I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with this whole thing. What do you guys think? Do you think Cedar Fair is done with RMC? Do you think they are? Do you think it's a bad thing? Or do you think it'll just be just fine? Leave all those thoughts down in the comments below. I certainly wouldn't freak out about it, but that's your call. I'd just like to thank you all for reaching this point. Feel free to drop a like, as that is the best way to help out the channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you already had it for more awesome coaster content coming soon. Now, with all that being said, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.